macOS 27 Golden Gate public beta just went live, which means you no longer need a developer account to get in on this. If you want to test it out, just go to beta.apple.com, sign up, then go into system settings. Under software update, you just need to flip on macOS 27. And if you do decide, keep in mind it is a beta, some things aren't going to work well, so maybe don't throw this on your main machine. But here are 10 features or so that you should try out right away because, well, macOS 27 brings a lot. And we'll start with the main star of the show, and that is the new Siri. Now, we did cover Siri a lot over the last month. You can check out all of those videos by just clicking the link here in the upper right corner. But what I do want to focus on are the ones that are macOS specific because, well, this is a Mac video. So let me start with the first thing you'll notice, and that's Siri inside of Spotlight. This is the big Mac hook this year. You hit Command Space like you always have, except now Spotlight is your new way into Siri AI. You can ask it a real question. You have it search through the web for an answer. You can have it dig through your own stuff like your photos, emails, and messages to find what you might be looking for. And it even can take actions inside and across your applications. That command space reflex that I have ingrained into my brain, and basically anyone else who uses Spotlight, now just turns into the smartest version of Siri yet. And tied to all of this is the new dedicated Siri app. Siri is not just a floating voice thing anymore. It's an actual app like ChatGPT, like Claude, like all of the ones that you're used to. And all of your conversations live inside of one place. So now you can start a new conversation on your Mac, walk away, pick it up right back on your iPhone, your iPad, etc. You know, the whole Apple ecosystem thing. So you can pin conversations that you might want to come back to and spin up new ones from the sidebar. Again, if you've already lived inside of something like ChatGPT or Claude, this will feel very familiar. Next is visual intelligence, which works a little differently on the Mac than it does on your phone. On your iPhone, you just kind of point the camera at something. On the Mac, it works through your screen. You can have Siri look at whatever is on your display and answer questions about it. So instead of just describing what you're looking at, you just let it see what's on your device and you go from there. It's one of those features that just honestly makes a ton of sense, just having it look at something on your screen without having to type out a bunch of paragraphs of text for context. Then there is writing. The writing tools got rebuilt this year and made more efficient. The Siri angle is that now you just write with Siri and it can rewrite the text for you across the system. The usual part for anyone who actually works on their Mac is that it's in apps like Mail and Messages, and it can match your own writing style and your own tone, so a rewrite still sounds like you and not so much a robot taking over your inbox. You can describe all the changes that you need in plain language, and it drafts it up or cleans it up for you, no problem. Sticking with that describe in plain language theme here, shortcuts got a lot more approachable. And shortcuts on the Mac is honestly my personal favorite. There's so many useful things you can do here. So instead of manually dragging actions together step by step, which is how most people, like myself included, get, kind of scared away from shortcuts over the years, now you just describe what you want the shortcut to do in plain language, and it will connect the actions across your apps and make it happen. If you've ever wanted to automate something on your Mac, but again, got scared of all the complexity that was involved with shortcuts, this breaks down that barrier, no problem. Safari is where a lot of the quietly great stuff lives this year, in my opinion, starting with custom extensions. There's a new tool where you describe an extension in plain language and Safari builds it out for you. Again, just like shortcuts, there's no coding, there's no step-by-step process that you have to build. You just describe it in plain language. At WWDC, Apple demoed it by describing a recipe-saving extension, and Safari generated on the spot, put it in the toolbar, gave you the abilities to, rank it by a star rating and save your recipes so that you can come back and look at those rankings and figure out which one you want to make. For anyone who has drifted towards Chrome purely for extensions, I think this kind of changes the game, honestly, because now you can get pretty much whatever extension you want. Safari also gets smarter about your tabs and how you rearrange those tabs. So tab organization now just happens automatically and it groups by open topics using Apple Intelligence. So if you have a pile of tabs open for one project or theme, it'll group those together so that it's easier to find. Alongside that is Notify Me, which turns Safari into a page monitor. You point it at a web page, describe in plain language what you are searching for or watching for, and something like a price drop or a restock or registration opening for something, and Safari checks the page for you on a schedule and lets you know when it changes. No more manually refreshing the same page 10 times a day. I believe in the latest developer beta, it is now every hour instead of once a day, so that is especially helpful. If you use iPhone mirroring on your Mac, that got a nice little quality of light bump here. iPhone apps running through mirroring can now be resized larger, so you're not just stuck squinting at a tiny phone-sized window in the corner of your display. Small change, but again, something that I have been wishing for since day one when this feature got announced. On to the design side, the headliner last year was liquid glass. This year, Apple took the translucency that people argued about, whether you loved it or hated it, and gave you an actual slider to control it. You can push it towards maximum translucency or dial it back to a much more tinted or more opaque version so it's easier to read, or you can land anywhere in between. Yes, you can adjust and fine-tune it to whatever you want. Apple also reworked how the opacity diffuses busier content behind it and added a darkened edge with brighter highlights so elements have more depth and separation. Again, a quick 30-second change that you can do in the Settings app and make your whole system feel how you want it to feel and look how you want it to look. Along with that, Apple also cleaned up windows across the board, so window shadows were reworked, so it's easier to tell at a glance which window is actually active. Toolbars are now uniform across apps, so headings and controls are just easier to read, and every window uses the same corner radius, so you no longer get that slightly off feeling where different apps had just subtly different rounded corners. Again, if you're an OCD design person that it just bothered, that could be something that you'll really appreciate. It's just more consistency. I want to close on performance too, because I mentioned that the developer beta is really stable, but one of the things and maybe reasons why it feels so stable is because Apple just really focused in across the board on all platforms, optimizing the software with the hardware. This is a snow leopard style year for the Mac, where a lot of the work went into making everything just feel so much more faster and efficient. AirDrop transfers are quicker. Browsing files over a network to things like NAS or a Windows share is faster, and upload photos to iCloud is just so much faster with prioritized syncing from your iPhone. Under the hood, Apple went after memory usage, search, display, rendering, and even CPU utilization. There was a whole word wall of things at WWDC. I can't go and test all of those things, but just day-to-day use across all of my devices, I've noticed how much faster everything is. And so hopefully you notice all of that as well. Oh, and there's also a new swipe down to refresh gesture that finally comes to the Mac in Safari, Mail, News, Podcasts, and Calendar. If you're wondering why we might be getting that, perhaps a touchscreen Mac in the future might make more sense for gestures and things like that. But yeah, that is macOS 27 Golden Gate public beta. Again, these are just some of the more Mac-specific features. All of the iOS and iPadOS 27 features, or most of them, are kind of just feature parodied across the board, so you'll probably be getting a lot of that on the Mac as well. So let me know your thoughts on the beta. Are you planning to upgrade? What is your new favorite feature? How are you liking Siri if you're already on the beta? Let me know down in those comments. This is Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.